impact of education tax that we collect cannot be overemphasized.
We have benefited from the building of physical infrastructure.
Now I can go to the library and read any book. Our books are up to date.
Have benefited so much in the areas of staff development.
I got approval to do my PhD.
As a result of taxes paid by companies through Ivory.
The tax utilization has produced tangible, visible, feelable results.
Before the last decade, many public tertiary institutions of learning had fallen into disrepair and became an eyesore. This was largely due to the absence of the needed financial resources to fund the infrastructure development in these institutions. This is why the education tax was introduced to provide funding for the nation's public tertiary institutions of learning through tax contributions made from profits of companies in Nigeria. The education tax is 2.5% of a company's profit. It is imposed on all registered companies in Nigeria. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, is mandated to collect this tax on behalf of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, which in turn disburses it to the relevant public tertiary institutions. The fund has in 10 years amounted to 2.5 trillion naira spent on infrastructure and staff development in public universities, polytechnics and colleges of education. With more effort, more companies are complying in paying this tax. We are seeing improved funding to our tertiary education institutions as a result of the education tax. However, as global economy shrunk due to ravaging COVID-19, it constrained State Fund from accessing funds to fulfill its mandate.
We took the biggest hit, if you like. Indeed, we are still reeling from that impact. Because, for example, our tax collections precede our year of implementation, meaning that what we are implementing in 2022 are taxes collected in 2021. And what was implemented last year were taxes collected in 2020. Indeed, the biggest impact we had was last year, where we had a drop of over 68 billion in revenue, and largely because of the impact of COVID.
For Nigeria, the situation did not last too long. The federal government embarked on bringing major changes in the way tax revenues were collected. Wednesday, December 18, 2019, Nigeria's Senate confirmed Mohammed Nami as the new executive chairman, who was appointed by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Muhammad Nami is hereby confirmed as chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Mohammed Nami's appointment coincided with the period the world witnessed economic slowdown and used the occasion to start introducing series of new innovations and reforms. As tax receipts began to record increase, significant progress in revenue generation is being witnessed, with the education tax making impact on the nation's tertiary education.
The impact of education tax that we collect on behalf of federal government at 2.5%, and which hitherto was 2%, cannot be overemphasized. The reason being, clearly today, if you visit all the tertiary institutions in Nigeria, whether those that were established by the state or those that were established by the federal government itself and being funded by the state and federal government respectively, you will discover that those critical infrastructures are being funded by the education tax that we collect.
In 2021, The Education Intervention Agency received 189 billion naira as proceeds from the Education Tax Fund. Though far below the target set for the year, it was compensated with the National Research Fund, which witnessed an increase from 5 billion naira to 7.5 billion naira in 2020 and 8.5 billion naira in 2021. Now, with a proactive FIRS under the leadership of Mohammed Nami, a whopping 7.405 trillion naira revenue was collected in 2021 and is set to exceed 10.4 trillion naira target in 2022, a sign that the future is bright. From the northwest to the southwest, the southeast to the northeast, and from the south-south to the north-central, heads of tertiary institutions across the 6 geopolitical zones have unanimously attested to the unprecedented impacts of tax funds collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service in the development of infrastructure, human capital development, and research in these institutions.
Come to BUK and see where the money you give as tax is being utilized. One, the taxpayers' money collected through FRS, which come through to us through TED Fund, is being used, one, to provide structure for learning. It's being used to train the lecturers that teach students. It's being used to provide facilities that both students and teachers or lecturers use in the system.
Federal College of Education of Abeokuta has no doubt benefited immensely from taxpayers' money through test fund interventions in the college. My college since 2011 has benefited a lot in terms of infrastructural facilities, in terms of capacity building for staff, not only lecturers, but even non-teaching staff, in terms of library interventions, in terms of conferencing and other science and laboratory equipments and more of that. I can attest to the fact that the federal government has really tried, going by the several interventions that we have gotten here.
The money that the federal government is getting from taxpayers has been able to impact greatly on education. The Federal Polytechnic Nekede has benefited immensely from the investment of the federal government in education, especially through the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, which is TED Fund. We have benefited from the building of physical infrastructure, the training of our staff for masters, for PhD, the provision of funds for research. A lot of research has been done in this institution in the last couple of years.
The Aminu Saleh College of Education, Azare, in Bauchi State, has benefited so much from taxpayers' taxes in the areas of staff development, infrastructure, ICT, library development, and research.
We know that one of the main sources of government funds, finances, is through remittances of tax. And Federal Polytechnic Ukana, being solely sponsored by the federal government, we know with what we are doing that these taxes has helped a lot. The structures that you see at the main campus, about 95% of them are state fund sponsored infrastructure. Without the taxpayers remitting what is expected of them, state fund in particular would not have the fund that it has been disbursing to tertiary institutions. So Federal Polytechnic Ukana, with what has happened in the past 3 years, is an institution that should be used to
let the taxpayers know that whatever taxes they have paid does not go for nothing.
There is no society in the world that tax doesn't play a major role in such some funds. In actual fact, when you go to Europe, they really depend on tax. And in such societies, you will say that on the pound or on the unit, the tax is almost about 25% to 30% regime. This university in particular, our presence in all the states of the Federation and in some local governments of the Federation, in terms of study centers, physical presence, has been largely due to the intervention of that fund.
There's a strong synergy between FIRS and the TED fund, because it is whatever that is collected and remitted to TED fund, that TED fund in turn redistribute to tertiary institutions. In Kogi State Polytechnic, we have a series of TED fund projects on our campus. I appreciate TED fund for all the interventions that they have put in place before and during our tenure. And I appreciate FIRS because it's not easy to collect tax.
In ensuring a quantum leap in research outcomes between 2020 and 2021, the federal government, through the TED Fund Board of Trustees, gave approval for the sum of 12 billion naira for the establishment of 12 centers of excellence, 2 in each of the 6 geopolitical zones, at a cost of 1 billion naira per center. Bayero University, Kano, and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, among other universities in Nigeria, are beneficiaries of the education tax, which the FIRS is able to collect for the use of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund.
We have been selected as one of the 12 universities that benefited from this intervention. Our Center of Excellence is a Center of Excellence for renewable energy. And we have been given this grant of 1 billion, and first tranche has been released, and we are working towards actualizing what the funds has been given for.
ATBU is currently hosting 3 centers of excellence. 2 are funded by the TED Fund, the Center of Excellence on Food Security, with special emphasis on dairy research and development, and then the Center of Excellence on Endourology. These 2 centers of excellence in ATBU Bauchi have gone to a great length in providing the kind of services that centers of excellence are required to provide.
Post-COVID-19 saw the world grappling with energy and food shortages. Nigeria is among countries developing ways of providing local solutions to this global problem. This cow is one out of many herds being reared for meat and milk by Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University in Bauchi State, Nigeria. They are bred specifically for crossbreeding with the local breed. Idea is to triple local capacity in meat and milk production. With surplus feeds all year round and convenient accommodation for herds, the assurances for better milk and meat production is not in doubt. The funding for all this is coming from the efforts of the Federal Inland Revenue Service in tax collection, an evidence of the impact the taxpayers' money can do. Hence the call for prompt payment of taxes. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University is not too far away from the Abubakar Tatari Ali Polytechnic in Bauchi State. It is one of the institutions that have established departments and faculties of global standards. This mass communication department here runs a radio station that transmits to the Polytechnic and host communities. Like Musa and other locals within the host community, the radio station, aside creating sense of community through programs in the local language, also provides a source of entertainment, validation, and awareness on issues that border on civic responsibilities.
Ana amfani da wannan haraji ana taimakon makarantu da shi, akan gina ajujuwa ne da kayan karatu har da wa'anda za a bukata. Mai sauraro da fatan kaji wannan kira kuma za ka yi amfani da shi, wanda bai ji ba kuma ya sanar da wanda ya ji kuma ya sanar da wanda bai ji ba.
Our interview with the registrar Abdullahi Alhaji Adamu on the impacts of the TED Fund's intervention in Tatari Ali Polytechnic Bauchi was conducted inside ATAP FM studio. The studio manager decided to go live.
The presence of TED Fund intervention in Abubakar Tatari Polytechnic Bauchi cannot be overemphasized. Indeed, the massive infrastructure development by the TED Fund, right from its inception to date, is what developed this institution to the present state. Indeed, the intervention is what brought the Polytechnic from what I can refer as a moribund, glorified technical college to what one can clearly see today. Let me give kudos to taxpayers in general in Nigeria, including workers like me who pay that tax should not be avoided, because tax is an integral part of what support government in supporting agencies like TED Fund, who by extension support education massively throughout the country.
The students of this state-owned institution are exposed to practical hands-on teaching in the field of broadcast and journalism.
Once it registers, you cannot delete it.
The department also has a standard, well-equipped television broadcast studio. Funding for research and development is a deliberate policy of the federal government. Through disbursements from the Education Tax Fund collected by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, the production of this electric car at the Federal Polytechnic Nekede in Owerri, Imo State was possible. This invention is in line with the new global automotive policy of producing eco-friendly and energy-efficient vehicles powered by electricity and renewable energy.
I have always had the dream, the wish to produce a car. Again, thinking about the present damages to our environment by our vehicles, automobiles that use fossil fuel, I found it, I saw the opportunity to write a proposal to produce this project, and TED Fund approved it, and so the work started. It's been very interesting seeing this coming to being.
We were privileged to drive this four-wheeled electric-powered vehicle. With the much that the Federal Inland Revenue Service is doing in meeting and surpassing its annual revenue target, more funding is pouring in to support capacity building programs for beneficiary institutions. This is aimed at improving global competitiveness and visibility, which are already translating into specialized skills being developed by beneficiary higher institutions of learning in Nigeria. Support to ICT is a major area on the mandate list of the TED Fund.
We have benefited a lot. You can see all over this place. Today we have e-library in place in Kogi State Polytechnic. At least our students can now go online. They can go electronic to have access to different materials.
Building of standard libraries and the provision of books are also achieved with the utilization of taxpayers' money.
Assuming organizations were not paying tax regularly, there would have been no TED Fund. Is it not from the tax that we pay that TED Fund gets its money, which is distributed among the higher institutions and so on and so forth?
Like the attention given to the physical infrastructure, The welfare of staff in the area of continuous training locally and abroad is also considered a priority.
My name is Dr. Ekele Thompson Oshedi.
Dr. Ekele from Kogi State Polytechnic, Lokoja, is able to earn this academic title courtesy of taxpayers' money. He is a beneficiary of government intervention in the area of academic training, awarded a scholarship to study at the United Kingdom in October 2014. Upon completion, he is back and driving a revolution in energy efficiency in Lokoja, Kogi State, Nigeria.
I benefited from the academic staff training and development. In 2014, I got approval to do my PhD in UK. In our time, we were given about 24 million. As a staff, considering what I earn, how many years will I be able to save 24 million to have traveled to the UK? So even if I have that idea, it will just die there. So my appeal and encouragement to taxpayer is that their effort is not wasted. I am an example.
Like Dr. Ekele, the fund has served as a catalyst for many in lifting their passion, leading to accomplishments for themselves and the country. Feats that were before now only imagined.
I was privileged to be among those that benefited from TED Fund. That's 2012. That intervention has really helped me during my studies because financially I'm a little bit buoyant. I was able to do most of my research.
I thank God for TED Fund. I had my master's degree, and it's through TED Fund I did my PhD in linguistics at Imo State University in Ivory. I represent a majority of academic staff in Nigerian institutions and especially in Alvan, to the extent that today this college boasts of nothing less than 240-something PhD holders. Before the introduction of TED Fund sponsorship for scholarship, the number, I can assure you, was below 100. After thanking the taxpayers, I also like to appeal to them. Don't relent.
I got the TED Fund sponsorship in 2013 for my PhD program, which I went for in South Africa, specifically University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, to further my studies in the research on solar energy as a renewable alternative energy source. And it really helped me, and it contributed to my finishing on time because I didn't have to suffer for need of fund.
I obtained admission into International University of Africa, Khartoum, the Republic of Sudan, and pursued master and PhD degrees in 2014 and 2018 respectively. Our salaries, local salaries, cannot cater our family needs as well as pursue high degrees, particularly outside the country. I am telling you, if Nigerians will really cooperate and give their contribution, particularly tax paying, we will reach to that state we are envying. We are envying their plight, we are envying their economy, we are envying their discipline, we are envying their education, we are envying their light, we are envying their environment, we are envying their security. Government invested a lot of money. How does that do? Because of the taxpayer.
These are bold statements reflective of the new vision in the country's education sector. It seeks to explore innovative ways for adequate funding for an assured future. Other areas of intervention enjoying funding include library development, academic research journals, institution-based research, academic manuscript conversion to books. Iyonda Oladimeji of Yaba College of Technology published the first indigenous textbook in the field of studio design in 2015. His interest in contributing to knowledge through publications was made possible through the education tax disbursed by the TED Fund.
It was very difficult to raise funds because to produce then, I needed close to about 2-3 million, which I didn't have. So TED Fund made it easy for me. So in fact, that was the first, that was and is still the first book
be published through TED Fund in Yaba College of Technology, and I think I have the credits to that. And presently now, I'm going through my second publication through TED Fund also, which I've been advised to even revise the book and do like the third publication. I think going through TED Fund has made it easy for me. It wasn't easy to raise the fund, even though we have things to meet up by filling fund, bureaucracy, offices, protocols, but still it's worth the wait. But when the money came, the production was easy for me, and I think it's okay like that.
Dr. Harrison, an associate professor with the Department of Botany, is one of the 4 recipients of the funds for the production of textbooks in Delta State University, Abaraka. He encourages taxpayers to voluntarily pay their tax.
So I just want to use this opportunity to tell the citizens out there, do the right thing, pay your tax, help the government too, not just for you as well, but for your children and for the betterment of the citizens of this great country.
For the students, the benefits of having well-trained teachers, convenient lecture halls, as well as equipped laboratories make learning a lot easier. These they are aware, appreciative, and joining the call to taxpayers for voluntary payment of taxes.
I want to actually appreciate them for everything because they have really been good. They have done great in this our school. I don't know of other schools, but I'm sure of Federal Polytechnic Academy.
The federal government of Nigeria, from all indications, have succeeded in utilizing these taxpayers' money effectively in the interest of the Nigerian student. So to enable the TED Fund initiative to achieve its aims and objectives, it is very important that the Nigerian citizens to be more patriotic with their taxes.
We want to say thank you very much because we are the beneficiary now, because we really study very well and then we enjoy the environment when we find ourselves.
I have to say a very big thank you to taxpayers, those who remember the country and deem it fit to pay their tax. It has been helpful.
It is therefore worthy of mention that the education tax is the magic wand for education development in Nigeria. It is through the instrumentality of the EDT that many Nigerian universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education are now wearing a new look. Things can be much better if all stakeholders play their roles and own up to the obligations of remitting their tax returns, disbursements, and proper utilization for the good of the society, as it pays to pay your tax.
If you travel globally, you see beautiful infrastructure, you see hospitals, you see good roads, you see good schools. These schools did not fall from heaven. It is the citizens who pay for them by way of taxes that they pay to government.
Please pay that tax. It's an investment. It's just like you investing on your child by training him. When you begin to reap the benefits, it's a lifelong thing. And that is what we encourage our taxpayers to continue to do.
Education is the bedrock of every society, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service is committed to playing her part to ensure this all-important sector of the society continues to thrive. Like this fountain, the money you pay as tax goes in circles and comes back to you in different forms. The possibilities are surely endless.